Okay, we'll continue. So we have updated the code with the delete option, and when you delete the table row, I don't need to use a delete row manually because I'm just updating my content and refreshing the table, recreating the table. So this particular part of your code which I previously added may not be required. Of course, I don't need to have that. So for your reference, I kept it commented. Okay, so what it will make sure, it will delete a particular item in a given index and then update the local storage and finally recreate the table with the latest value what your local storage has. So that is how it works. And of course, before populating or refreshing the table, it will also empty the row so that a new set of row freshly could be created. If you do not have this part added, you will get an unexpected results, and of course you may test it if you required and maybe when you get a time. Now I'm going to add the edit option. To make the edit option, we may have to do some of the changes in our code as well. This may be useful if you want to clear the content or if you want to set it to default, because the same register button is going to work for adding a new content as well as updating the content. When a user decided to update the content but suddenly he realized, okay, you don't want to update, you want to add a content, the clear will give an option to reset his choice or selection so that that particular table or particular input field will be going back to a default mode. So for that purpose I added a clear button. So I need to write a method for that. When a clear is pressed, uh, this part I can move the particular, because this is already clearing. Time being, I'll also set the drop down also. It's called subject to a first item, but you can still specify the index also, but I just want to finish it off. So on clear pressed, the semicolon is optional, of course you can keep it or you don't need to keep it. On clear pressed can also be called here after updating the content. Actually empty your edit texts, so no data would be there after inserting the content. For example, he has typed something, you can clear it off. So this clear will put the particular text fields to a default mode. You may have noticed such a design in various user forms. There will be option to clear and take it back to a default one. So for that purpose the clear we have used. And when the user click on edit, I want to bring back the data from here. So let me do that. I'm going to need an index, so that because the specific content I need to bring it. Anyway, I'm going to set the values from the selection. Before doing it, I need to recreate the object from the given index. Sorry. Selected index will give access to that object. So student object will have first name. I hope the same key I've used. First name, last name, phone number, subject. So on edit pressed, need to concatenate. So when an index with a specific item edit is pressed, it is going to call this function. With a given index, we will get back the student object from the given array. The object elements would be mapped to a DOM having first name, last name, roll number, subject, DOM IDs. So it will something like it will bring back the data from the selection. So when I click edit, if you notice, all items which I typed brought back, and of course remember the drop down also got changed to a selection. Okay, but I will have a couple of contents. So whatever I remember. Okay, so selecting the specific item, the data is brought back, but we are not completed because clicking register will add it as a new item. So that I need to make sure that part to be fixed. Maybe data is coming back. When edit is pressed, I want to do a couple of other part, maybe
Or delete all that particular rows to delete, because anyway it's on the screen. Press register.
yeah, that's fine. Of course, that I want to do on register pressed. On register press. Okay, let me try to change the title whenever the delete is pressed, if it is possible. Sorry. Name submit, I remember. Yes. So the submit button will have a different label. Let me see that if that works. Yeah. So when edit clicked, the button changes to update. So the user realize, okay, it is for updating the particular content, but when clear press I should bring it back, so that part also I need to change. Bring it back to register. Okay. In clear press we got it back. Okay, so we have to put the update to work now. Okay.
Update is pressed, then delete the content.
Update.
If update button is pressed,
Hmm.
then delete particular row.
Then,
Delete the particular row in which we are accessing.
but
We
that's
try to
not my
add.
requirement. Update what exactly you need to do. I will be changing. I'll be adding something else. I'll be changing the content. I want that content edited here. So whatever I changed should be changed here also. So that's the true purpose of update, but right now it is adding. We'll find some other mechanism. Okay. I'm going to need a global object. Selected index. I'm going to keep the value default -1, mean nothing has been selected in the initial stage. Minus is a symbolic representation. Usually all the object oriented developers follow. A negative value will always be understood as nothing has been assigned. It's for a flagging purpose. So there is no selected index to start with. But whenever the user click on edit, the selected index will have a positive number. Remember, it is a global space, so any function can access it. On clear press, I want to take the selected index back to -1, because when clear press, the all fields would be set for additions. Here, here it is. Because the same method we are using for inserting as well as updating this values. If selected index equal to -1, mean nothing is selected, you can very well go ahead and update or add a new item. Moving here, this will need triples equal. Else, if any positive value exists, update splice selected index, delete one row and add or replace the new value, student object. So this will make sure your value gets updated or either inserted. And of course at the end the clear will be called, and clear will reset the index and clear the data, and everything will be back to position. On edit pressed, value has been set. Okay, let's see if that works. For safer side, I'm clicking the very first item. Something went wrong here. Oh, okay, fine. I just gave a single letter for last name. So it edited the particular row with the new values, and all fields with, again went back to insert mode now because the register button appears. But it also carried the edit purpose. So again, let me try to edit the second item. Seriously, no idea about names. it updates. So I can use the same block for insert or update, and of course edit as well. So the particular item gets updated, and of course the delete also will work. And anytime user click on edit, he feels okay, nothing to do with that, he can very well clear the data and go ahead add for a new user entry. So this is a self-contained app. Almost it contains all the options. You can insert a data, update the data, and you can also view it, and of course you can delete it. So an entire transaction option we have added to this app now. The app not only insert the data and of course has the capability to update and delete, of course to retrieve. All the options we have added with a minimalistic approach. If you notice this code, I try to use as much as functions, code separated as much as possible, and try to utilize the same function wherever needed. So the clear pressed for me not only clears the data, it will also reset the selection of a data, because the selected index, what we have set, which is going to record any time when the user click on edit button, the specific index would be assigned to that. When edit is completed, the selection is reset back to a -1, mean no selection. So if -1 is there, the particular item will always get added. If any positive values comes, the item is assigned to be edited. So the splice I'm using to delete a particular row in a given index and replace it with a new one, so which is nothing but an edit. So for most of the code, I hope I've recreated. Looks fine for me so far. Pretty good. Did you understand the logic behind it? How I did? Did you understand the logic behind it? I'm not asking you to follow the same. If you have your own logic, you can still do it. But I felt changing something to a data and updating the UI accordingly is quite easy for me. I don't need to worry about removing the row specifically. So handle the logic something for UI separately and handle the logic for data separately is not going to be helpful. So I kept, whenever changes happen to a data, especially to array list, no sorry, array list is a Java terminology. So I automatically in the very next line I also update the UI. So in this case, the code, any changes happens to the students array will immediately reflect it back to UI by following this init method calling. So init method initially will make sure the table all rows are emptied and recreate everything from the values stored in students array. Initially, the students array value would be residing in local storage. Bring it back and recreate the students array and populate it. It is to restore the data when the first time page is loaded. So the init is called perfectly on body onload, and so that the body, whenever body loaded or the HTML document body is loaded, the init method would be called, and data would be brought from the local storage and the data would be populated. Initially there won't be any data freshly writing, but if already existing, those data will be coming and populated. Once it iterate through the students array objects, specific table row is created. In fact, I could have made it as a prepare table rows. Okay, anyway, so this prepare table row will get an instance of your table and subsequently add a cells within the rows. And we have a 5 cell, the last one being the button, which is used for either editing or deleting the particular row. So HTML code I added, I used a single quotation so that because in between there's going to be a double quotation going to come, I don't need to escape it if I use a single quotation. So the HTML code I directly wrote it here. Whenever a new item is added, the button always have a track of which index it is getting added, so that I can use the index to modify the array, or of course delete the particular content in an array. That's the reason I need to keep an index, and any action performed on those button, specific blocks are called. Delete is pretty simple, simply take the index of the particular content, delete using splice, and update your local storage and recreate your table again. The clear is similar, but clear is used for not for the table, it is to clear all the fields and drop down in the left hand side. This is particularly useful if you are using the same button for different actions, because one button, the same button, in this case register, was used not only to add a new content, of course it was used to update the existing content as well. So for that purpose I had to keep an additional button to clear the selection. This is how I did. There is a global object I defined here. See, I declared wherever I have a space. So for a better control, any global objects you may prefer to declare it on the top, but it is nothing specific. You should not have it anywhere, but it is better to keep everything organized. And edit, of course, a particular selected index, the index which is getting clicked will be assigned to a selected index value. So now the selected index is going to contain a positive number. From the index I am retrieving the object of a particular array element, and then reading the object and assigning the value to the input fields as well as the drop down, and also I change the title of the button to update. When update is clicked, of course the same method, update is nothing but this button what I have kept here, which is calling on register pressed. When on register press is called, it will get the whatever values being typed on the top, it will keep the object ready, but it has to decide whether the object is inserted as a new item or it is already existing item. For that it refers if the selected index has a positive value or negative value. If a negative value is there, mean nothing has been selected, so naturally the given value whatever entered, it is for addition. So I am using students array to push. If a selected index contains a positive number, so there should be some items got selected already, so the existing item gets updated with the selected index value whatever has been specified. And finally update the local storage, and again call the init and clear whatever the fields, so reset it back the left hand side fields to a default state. The clear not only reset the selection, it will also empty whatever values selected. In the drop down it will again bring it back to the first item which is selected here. That's it. That's how we got this code working. I'll push the source code, start working on it, because afternoon I want to introduce jQuery and as well as some other additional stuff which is needed for our mobile application development, and CSS, some additional fundamental concepts. So make sure you finish the whatever hands-on part as soon as possible. So I'm going to upload the source code.